So, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to get 100,000 on as many of these as possible. And, yeah. Probably shouldn't be starting on the ones furthest down, but whatever, I am. So it'll only get faster from here. And of course I've got it synced. Anyway, also this is incredibly slow because I still haven't got my plants, and then I've got trees and fish and animals, and, well, we'll have other things before long. Also, this is slightly off. There we go. And my lighting seems a little off too. How did that happen? Well, no matter. Okay, so when I got the pet back from the level campaign, it had gained 20 levels, which was way more than it could have gained from shadow clones. So I immediately put it off on a couple more hour jog. And then we will go back to all of this. I am 1.4 almost strong. Is great. And we're going to be 100 times greater when we rebirth. But more than that, because I can take out at least another one after Diana and her tomb. January 9037. Planet Reality. I went back to the tomb, and my first step was to create my own entry by smashing in one wall on the outside of the tomb. When I had fought Diana, I tried to do a lot to damage her, and nothing worked, even though I'd easily defeated the other gods before her. No, you didn't. Every single one of them was a pain in the ass by your descriptions. For me at that time, the walls of the tomb had similar durability. Both her defense and the walls were impenetrable. The walls couldn't move or attack me, so I had all the time I needed to increase my power to destroy them. I summoned enough clones to surround the whole tomb. That made me notice how big this tomb was. I had to use almost 10,000 clones to surround it. Then I started my training. Every clone punched the walls at once. They punched and punched and punched. I also punched at it myself for a while. Then not taking long until my fist hurt enough to make me take a break. I still had enough stamina to summon more clones, so I did just that and let them train their aura. I had them focus their aura just around their fists to increase the power output, and to reduce or even negate the impact on their fists. I had thought the idea of the training was good, and I would have smashed the walls eventually, but almost a month later I still continued the training, and not one clone was able to even scratch the walls. They still seemed as impenetrable as they were at the start, and I started to think that my training had no effect at all. Then I decided to take a break for a few days to think of new ideas about what I could do to improve my destructive power. My first idea was to create a barrier myself and let my clones punch it, so they were not bound to the side of the tomb, and I could have summoned more. But a barrier that big would have drained my stamina too fast. The training probably wouldn't work in the first place. Why not? Seems good to me, and you'll learn more about your barriers. Try it. Try it for a week. See what happens. However, I still thought it was a good idea to use my own barrier to train. Yes, there you go. At the same time, and to make it stronger than the walls of the tomb. When I continued my training again, I changed a bit and let 3 clones work together from then on. One clone concentrated its aura into his fist and prepared for a punch. Thereafter, other clones helped him to teleport and gain speed to increase the momentum of the punch. Like I feared, that didn't even scratch the walls, and the clones died instantly from impact. That meant that the punch was still too weak to break the wall, and even too strong for the aura and the clones to handle the impact. The first goal was now to increase the defensive aura around the fist to handle the impact. In the meanwhile, I set up my own barrier, big enough to surround myself, with the same setup. I let my clones try to break my own barrier. Because my own barrier reflected their punches, they took even more damage from the impact and had no chance to survive at all. About 3 weeks later, to my surprise, one of the clones managed to crack it. My own barrier! That was quite a shock for me. Not the wall of the tomb, but my own barrier broke down first. The walls of the tomb were still without any harm. Most of my clones still died on impact with the walls. This time, the progress of my training was really slow. I almost felt like I didn't progress at all. So rebirth. This is what I always do. I almost felt like I didn't progress at all. When I trained and prepared to fight the other gods, I could feel my power increasing much faster. The goal to defeat the next god was always within reach. This time, however, I felt like I was really, really far away from defeating Diana. The gap in power was enormous. I was unsure if I would stand a chance against her, even after years of training, if I continued like this. But I couldn't think of any other way to increase my destructive power. So I went on with my training. A whole 3 months later, I finally managed to put a small crack into one of the tomb walls. But soon after, that proved to be a bad mistake. It seemed like Diana felt the crack, and she appeared before me out of nowhere. I don't remember much about this second meeting, just that she was really angry and threw a punch at me with her full power. The punch was really destructive. My body couldn't handle it. I somehow managed to stay conscious, but I knew it was the end of me. This body wouldn't have lasted another minute. Luckily, I still had the power to rebirth, and just enough time to create a perfect clone of myself and put my soul into it. Diana's punch also threw me far away, so she didn't notice. Now, at my new body, I felt a shiver. The aura on this planet was almost unbearable. I felt like a wrong move would have killed me instantly. Because of the rebirth, I lost the power I had before, and with my new body, I wasn't even able to imagine how I was able to even stay alive on this planet for months. The power gap between myself and about everything else on the planet was just too big. I felt like an ant, while everything else was like an elephant at least. My only goal, for now, was to reach my space dimension device as soon as possible and flee from this planet. But to my surprise, it was quite easy. I reached it a few hours later. Just like an elephant wouldn't notice an ant at his feet, the gods and creatures on this planet probably didn't even notice me anymore. Because I was at my weakest, I assumed my only way to survive was to go back to Zeppelin. My space dimension device still had the coordinates of Zeppelin, which is the first planet I visited in this universe, so I went straight back to it. It took 3 weeks to reach Zeppelin again. I tried not to waste all the time on this journey, so I trained as much as I could with my shadow clones. However, I had made only light training to make sure not to damage my device. That would have been really troublesome. As soon as I arrived at Zeppelin, I let my clones fight some slimes and frogs to test out how strong I was compared to when I first arrived on Zeppelin. They were unexpectedly weak. 2 of my shadow clones were enough to decimate all of them as soon as they appeared. Have you considered building another space dimension device? A spare? Might be a good thing to have. Might be a good thing to know how to build them, just in case you need to build one later. That made me feel a bit more confident again. Even though I was much weaker than before my new rebirth, I was already much stronger than the last time I was on Zeppelin. When I challenged Hyperion and Itzli again, they weren't even a fight anymore. Hyperion gave up as soon as he saw my aura. I still had to beat him to be able to create light again. While I had memories of my previous rebirth, somehow I'd not been able to create anything anymore. It seemed like I had to defeat them again to gain the power to create. So the knowledge of how to create something was not enough. Okay. When I went through Itzli again, I walked up to him slowly. His gravitational power didn't affect me in the slightest. He tried to attack me once with his full power and gave up after that because he broke his fist. A reversal. And I went to planet Gaia and challenged the goddess Gaia soon after. It was also an easy fight. I hadn't even trained much since I'd arrived there. I'd set up my shadow clones to fight monsters around the planet and had summoned a few more clones to train basic skills with each other. That was enough to regain a lot of my former power. Then I went against Shu. The wolves felt like puppies to me and were scared of only one of my shadow clones. The fight versus Shu wasn't that much harder, and it didn't take long to defeat Shujin afterwards. This time, Gefion was nearby and watched my fight. He was proud at first and wanted to impress her. But he lost pathetically when he shot his ice arrows. I summoned my reflection barrier and reflected them back. While he was busy, I dodged his reflected arrows of ice, I teleported behind him, and took him out in one hit. After that fight, he was really scared of me, but explained me in detail how to create his water. Relearning all my creations wasn't as bad as I thought at first. I learned them much faster than the first time, and I also learned something new every time. Compared to the first time, I was able to create them faster and more effectively than before. More importantly, air. When I had fought the zombies and skeletons in Diana's tomb, I hadn't been able to create oxygen very well and had rather created plants to do the job for me. I had mostly learned how to control the air to be able to fly, but I hadn't trained the creating air part well enough. This time I focused more on creating air and oxygen itself, because I already knew how to control air quite well. However, if I had been in the same condition again, I still would have used the plants instead of creating air by myself. This would let me focus on other things more. Gefion watched my fight against Shujin closely enough to know that she wouldn't have a chance to win, so she let me win without a fight and taught me how to create plants. Soon after, it was time to say goodbye, and I used my space dimension device once more to fly to reality. I still had some shivers when I thought about that planet, but now I defeated all the other gods I met until now again, so I felt prepared enough to face reality. I feel like this is some kind of pun pile with the word naming your planet reality, strong enough to face reality. Like, I just feel like... Anyway. It's only been 4 months since Diana almost killed me and I rebirthed again, but I already felt stronger than I was when I arrived at reality the first time. But the first time, it had taken me 15 years of training to become that strong. I was sure my power potential also increased a lot because of that. Maybe I should have rebirthed sooner, then I wouldn't have wasted so much time to prepare for Diana, which ended up as a failure anyway. When I searched for Hathor again, I found her soon after, but not alone. I decided to create a shadow clone to watch her until she was alone. In the meantime, I trained a bit more. 2 days later, she was finally alone and I challenged her again. This time, I tried not to burn down everything. Instead, I concentrated my aura around my fists and punched all her trees away while moving towards her. Because I could attack faster than the trees, this worked quite well. She still blocked my path with her trees, but I could focus my aura ball to burn a hole into a tree wall. This time, however, I stopped the fire from spreading as soon as my path was opened. When I was near her, the fight didn't take long and she was overwhelmed quickly. After that fight, I noticed how Pontus had watched the fight. He had just observed us and didn't try to stop us at all. Then he moved towards us and congratulated me on my win. He found me interesting, asked if I would like to fight him, and said he is sure I wouldn't win as easy as I won against Hathor. Something about the sentence structure seems to start unraveling here. Hold on. He found me interesting, asked if I would like to fight him, and said he is sure I wouldn't win as easy. I think it's the comma placement. He found me interesting, put the comma here, asked if I would like to fight him, and said he's sure that I wouldn't win as easy. Yeah, I think just altering the punctuation of that sentence a little. Your punctuation ain't so good, lady. Must be because of all the blows to the head you've been taking. As that removed the need to find him, and I wanted to fight him anyway. Aren't you so lucky he just happened to be standing nearby watching? And I happily agreed. I hadn't any time to prepare for the fight, but after my rebirth so far. Yep, right there. No, you can't copy-paste them. I should text dump these and correct them. No, I shouldn't. I won quite easily against all previous gods, so I was sure it wasn't needed anyway. This time, he wanted to fight here, not in the water like last time. Maybe he had remembered the fight in the water, even though he didn't remember me? He also didn't summon any fish. First, he created a skin out of stone around himself. Then he surrounded that barrier out of air, which cut everything it touched. He was way above Itzli and Shu, so it was not unexpected that he could also control stones and air. The fight itself was a lot harder than last time I had fought him. This time he really showed me his power. I concentrated my aura around my fists and attacked him. With my aura, I was able to negate his wind barrier so it didn't cut me, but it also reduced the force of my punches by a lot. His stone skin blocked the rest of my impact, so it was hard to hurt him. He also had a pretty good counterpunch himself after throwing my own. The fight lasted a few hours, and we threw countless punches at each other, but I managed to win out in the end. I stayed there for a bit and talked with Hathor and Pontus. Hathor explained to me her ability to create trees a bit better, and Pontus showed me his power to create fish in anticipation. And I really liked to talk about his fish and proudly taught me how he did that. The fight made me think. If I was really much weaker than the first time I had fought him, or he just didn't show his power at that time because he was more focused on his fish. Either way, there was no way I'd have a chance to win against Diana yet, so I had to train again. This time, however, I felt my potential was much greater than last time. I came this far much sooner and was sure to improve a lot faster at this point. Okay, yep, I figured you were done over here. So, max these out. Well, this one out anyway. It'll get faster and faster as I roll up. 100,000 isn't too high a goal. After all. Keep thinking about these might ones, but there's no way I can speed them up, is there? None that I've found. Well, no matter. I'm sure I'll figure out the details of that at some later point. By the way, did I gain anything new? I stole a tiara from the fish guy, huh? Okay. Ooh, aura. I guess it's okay. It looks better with this. Yeah, there we go. That's better. Show your true power. It's probably somebody that's been screaming, "No, don't do that. How could you?" It's too bad. I've recorded more than one video of this before posting the first one. So, okay. Diana and her tomb. Let's try not cracking her tomb this time. Also, see if the crack's still there first. When I was about to leave for my training, Diana suddenly appeared. "I heard you beat my dear brother Pontus. Well, he really is weak. Don't you want to fight someone much stronger, like me? I'd even give myself a handicap and wouldn't attack you for an hour," was what she said. "No, sorry, I still have something to do. I want to come back in a month, and then we fight," I replied, and she agreed. Okay, didn't just punch you right there? No, you're wearing a tiara. She wouldn't want to damage that nice-looking thing, so she'll leave your poor head alone for now. I was sure to lose at this time, but left for training. I should lose this time, but confident that 1 month of training would be enough to prepare for the fight and destroy her tomb. Why must you break her tomb? Beat her, that's just your thing, random acts of violence, but smashing her poor tomb. Last time she'd almost killed me when I put a crack into one wall of the tomb, so this time I had to make sure to destroy the tomb in one attack, before she appeared. Why does she have a tomb? I searched for some different places to train and found a hill with human-like birds. Oh, great. Harpies. They soon noticed me and attacked me in a group of 10 from all directions. I noticed them advancing and teleported away as soon as possible and escaped. Then I summoned a lot of clones to fight them. Normally, they wouldn't have been able to catch them, but when they worked together to teleport, it was possible. But the Harpies weren't stupid. They worked well together. They noticed that a teleport was only possible in a straight path and were able to estimate the end point of it to catch and kill a clone just after the teleport and before the clone was able to hit the targeted Harpy. And the Harpies also wanted to attack me instead of the clones all the time, so I had to move back and summon clones to surround and defend me. Because the Harpies could fly, and that even faster than my clones, it was hard to defend in the air. So I created a barrier above myself and the clones and defended the entries on all sides. That way, the clones didn't need to fly and could defend at the bottom, where the Harpies lost their advantage. But even at the bottom, the Harpies were strong. Really? They don't just hang around outside your barrier and wait for you to come out? Because, you feel awfully silly just sitting under your umbrella, doing nothing. Speed and flying wasn't their only strength. They also had a solid defense and could withstand a few blows from my clones without a problem. My clones couldn't even defeat one Harpy, but they were at least able to prevent them from entering my barrier and attacking me. Because of their good defense, they turned out to be a really good trading partner. I didn't know how fast Deanna was, because she never needed to show me her speed, but her defense was unbelievably strong. I was sure that even after destroying the tomb, her defense would still be nothing to laugh at. I also had to increase my offensive powers a lot to destroy the tomb before fighting her. I decided to stay here until my clones could kill a Harpy in one hit. 3 days later, I already noticed big improvements from my clones. Now, they still couldn't kill a Harpy in one hit, but they were able to defeat Harpies with the same number of clones. That meant I had some clones left to train something else, and let them continue their training. I had them do before I rebirthed. I set up some of the barriers, and my clones tried to break them. To simulate the walls at the tomb, I changed the structure of my barriers a lot, so they wouldn't try to reflect your punches and instead increase their durability. It took my clones about 3 days to destroy my first barrier. In the meantime, I thought of ways to increase the durability of the barrier and created a new, stronger one. I continued that training for 3 more weeks. Well, that's your month. After this 3 weeks, my clones could play around with the Harpies like with toys, and one clone was enough to handle an army of Harpies. Killing a Harpy with one punch was easily possible at that time. My clones were also able to break 4 more versions of my barriers. There were 4 days left before my fight against Diana. So this time, I had to put all my effort to create a barrier that was the same size as Diana's tomb. Creating a big tomb was not easily done. It took me 5 hours, and I was totally exhausted after that. Because of the rest I needed after creating one, I could only let my clones destroy it and then recreate it about once a day, with the last day to be used for resting. There had to be enough time for 3 tries to simulate the destroying of the tomb. For the first tomb, it took my clones about 3 hours to totally destroy it. For the second time, I had them attack differently, and it took only 2 hours. With some improvements after that, they were able to destroy the third one in less than an hour. Almost 1 hour was still too slow, but I didn't participate myself. For Diana's tomb, I planned to take part in destroying it, which would speed it up a lot. You're only 10 times as strong as your clones. That means you're only equivalent to adding 10 clones. The next day, the time had come. I went to the tomb and was sure Diana would show up when I destroyed it. So I summoned my clones, took a deep breath, and then attacked the tomb with full power. It didn't even take 1 minute for Diana to appear before me. Within this time, only less than 10% of the tomb was destroyed, and she was furious and tried to attack me with the same punch as last time. This time I was prepared a bit for it and created a reflection barrier to stop her punch. It stopped it, but only her first punch and not her. I teleported away as fast as I could, and she caught up with me as soon after, with another punch in wait for me. And so the game of fleeing and blocking her punches began. It was a really dangerous and tiring game, but after each time she became a bit weaker, because my clones were destroying her tomb. The more they destroyed, the weaker she became. I just had to hold out in the tomb until the tomb was totally destroyed by my clones. See, this is what's wrong with you. This is why you're not a Super Saiyan, despite that nice aura you got going there. Goku would have been, and Vegeta and the like would have insisted on fighting Diana with the entire tomb intact. In fact, they would have told her to build a bigger tomb. They would want to beat her at her strongest. But you want to do it this way. Cheater. Dirty, rotten cheater. About 40 minutes later, the time came. The tomb was destroyed, and Diana was already seriously weaker than before. Seriously, there's no hurry. She's not going to destroy your world or anything. She's just somebody you want to beat up. She was still really strong. Not stronger than Pontus was, but the power gap between her and me wasn't big anymore. While her defense was still really powerful, her punches couldn't kill me anymore. I was able to block them now without taking too much damage, so I stopped running away and tried to counterattack when I had the chance. While she didn't take much damage from that, the damage accumulated with every hit, and I felt she would go down, if I would just last long enough. Suddenly she started to summon all kinds of animals, tigers, lions, eagles, and snakes, which tried to attack me from all sides. However, because my clones were now free, I could use them to block the animals. My clones fought off her animals, and our own fight continued for a long time. A few hours later, the fight finally ended. It was a really close call, and I was badly wounded. I had felt like I was about to lose and planned out for my final offense. It was all or nothing. Either I'd won or lost the fight. First, I teleported away. Then she followed me soon after. Diana had been also quite beat up and couldn't catch up to my teleport as fast anymore. So I was able to teleport a few times to confuse her, to hopefully make her lose sight of me. Then I concentrated all my leftover aura into my fist and charged her with my 5th teleport from behind. Just before the impact she had noticed me, but it was already too late to block it. She still turned around, but then my fist hit her fully in her chest, just where her heart was. The weight of the impact had paralyzed her for a split second, which left me a chance to knock her out. Though I had used up almost all my power with that hit, I couldn't let this chance pass by, and had made the final effort to hit her in the head with a dragon fist, which knocked her out. I won. It was the hardest fight against a god until now. I still couldn't believe my win, but I really did it. I lay down a bit to recover my strength while waiting for Diana to wake up. That was sooner than I'd hoped. Not even 10 minutes later, she got up and was still full of rage and wanted to attack me. When I looked at her, I found that she had teary eyes. I didn't want to fight her again, and I might have even lost at the time. So I tried to stop her and asked her why she was so furious after I destroyed the tomb. I'd even help her rebuild it. It took me 2 more hours to stop the fight until she finally agreed to not attack me anymore. She had told me that the tomb was a gift from Izanagi, who was her master and teacher for more than 50 years, until he left the planet to create his own world. Diana cared a lot for the tomb and steadily increased and improved it for numerous years. While doing that, she'd been able to enchant it with several runes, which had given the tomb the ability to consume power from the surrounding area and give it to her. I might have never defeated her if I hadn't destroyed that tomb, but that made me feel really bad, and like I promised, I helped her to rebuild this tomb. Building the tomb the same way I'd been doing it for the imitation tombs in my preparation for the fight was not possible, though. The imitation tombs constantly drained my stamina for the barriers, so I had to find a better way. While I was on it, I also tried to find out how Diana was able to cast runes to take power from the tomb. It seemed like a really useful ability to increase my power, and I planned to build my own tombs as soon as we were finished here. Diana hadn't lied about the years it took her to create the first tomb. While we were able to rebuild the initial tomb within a week, improving it in the way it was before took a long time. Because we worked on it together, and the fact that she had previous experience, it didn't take us several years this time, but we still worked on it for a whole 7 months until we were finally finished. In this long time, Diana also explained to me the ability to create animals. I could create my own animals now. It was similar to creating fish, but the animals also like to eat fish. So I had to give them some. She also became a lot friendlier with me than she was at the beginning. Before it was time for me to leave, I asked her about Hathor's father. The name of Hathor's father was Poseidon. Diana advised me to go out of my way, to go out of his way and don't try to fight him. I would have no chance. He is by far the strongest one on the planet, and even Izanagi, who was much stronger than her, would be like an ant compared to his overwhelming power. Then I asked her a bit more about Izanagi and where I could find him. He pointed at the sky and in the direction of his planet, or rather the stars that's its solar system. He named the planet Exile. My next goal was set, defeating Izanagi at Exile. Gonna jump to another world, fight someone, then come back here, eh? Eh? Is that how it is? Still got a bit of building up to do over here. That's fine. Very good. How are the plants? Oh my gosh, it takes forever. It's okay though. Now we have animules. Create some animals to make it more lively. Yep. Alright. So now there's only one thing to do. Izanagi! I'm almost strong. So. Uh-oh. Oh, this might be as far as I can go. Holy crap, Poseidon's where the hell down the chain? I thought it was the river guy, but no, holy crap, that's a ways down. Huh. Is that who's pissed at me? Oh wait, he doesn't know who I am anymore because of that rebirth thing. Okay. Right. Alright. Alright. First monuments. I still haven't done that. Good grief, these things take a long time. Because it's not that it takes a long time to build, it's that it takes a long time to get the stone. I need 2,000 stone. And I want to keep... I don't think I'm going to do the monuments yet, because I want to do another rebirth, so that I can make things faster and all that. So what I'm figuring is I want to get as much of this stuff as possible. Don't create too many of them, or they might destroy everything you've created till now. Oh no, those humans, those dirty humans will destroy all of your light. Then they'll eat all of your stones. Then those assholes, the soil, they'll just, I don't know, use it to power their cars. And then your air. They'll go for the air next. Well, anyway. Takes 100 water, 25 plant, 25 fish, 15 animals. It's not the recipe the Full Metal Alchemist gave me for them. You're not using alchemy at all, are you? Huh? Are you even worthy of this? Not using alchemy. I keep forgetting I put that there. Anyway. Okay, let's finish up. The first monuments. Orcs! Humans in Izanagi. What are the humans going to be like? They're going to have to be ridiculously powerful like everything else to survive, right? 9,038. Maybe you just came from the weakest of dimensions. Planet Exile. Before going to exile, I decided to go back to one of the Earth-like planets I had visited before, the one with low gravity. This planet seemed to be a good one to build my own monuments. Diana only had a tomb as her monument, and it wouldn't have taken me at least a year to build one by myself. And it would have taken me at least a year to build one by myself, or even longer to create the enchantments like Diana did. A planet with low gravity would reduce the time needed to build it. It also didn't need to be a tomb. It could be any building, as long as I added enchantments to them so they increased my power. I thought of 7 classic world wonders. I just gave them my own names. Mighty Statue, Colossus of Rhodes, Mystic Garden, Mighty Statue for the Colossus of Rhodes, Mystic Garden for the Hanging Gardens, Tomb of Gods for the Mausoleum of Halicarnassus, Everlasting Lighthouse for the Lighthouse of Alexandria, Godly Statue for the Statue of Zeus, Pyramids of Power for the Great Pyramid of Giza, and finally Temple of God for the Temple of Artemis. You know, there are other great pyramids in the world aside from the one at Giza. There's a bunch of giant pyramids here and there in the world, or pyramid-shaped things that are ancient. We always think of Egypt because there's a whole bunch of pyramids there, as well as the big one. First, I started with the mighty statue. I wanted to build a really big one, bigger than the creatures on this planet. The goal was to increase my own power, so I just had to look like myself. That was the main problem. I was no artist. It took me months to get it right, but I eventually finished my mighty statue. Do I keep the statue when I rebirth? Generally, I lose all these things, so wouldn't I lose this as well? Can I make multiple of them, or just one? Maybe I should build one of these. Hey, do I not have 1 point to fly around the universe with? What gives? Sheesh. Okay, well. I had to spend most of my time to call my asteroid friends for stones, while I had my clones build the statue. After it was built, it didn't do anything at first, because the enchantments were missing. I tried to copy the ability from Diana, but it still required some work, so I summoned even more clones to enchant the statue until I could feel my own power increasing. About a month later, my physical power doubled, and I felt like that was the limit of one statue. Does it actually double me? Because the power boost was so big, I tried to follow it up with a second statue. About 3 weeks later, it was finished, but it had no effect at all. I made it the same way as the first way, but somehow only the first statue improved my power. Then I improved the second statue a bit more and worked on it until I could feel another power boost. That took me almost 6 months. Then I noticed that my second statue is about 5 times as big as the first one. I could feel that each subsequent statue had to be bigger than the previous one. Eventually, it would have taken forever to build them. The building process itself wasn't too time-consuming. My clones were now also able to do the enchantments by themselves, so I only had to provide enough stones for future statues. That was the bigger issue. It was hard to create enough stones. Summoning my asteroid friends for stones might have sounded easy, but that took a lot of concentration and stamina, and I could only summon a limited amount of stones every day. A few things back, while we were fighting... Who were we fighting? I forget who we were fighting at the time. I think it was the water guy in his desert oasis, but it might have been someone different. It was stated very clearly that we do not lose stamina when summoning rocks. Everything else cost stamina, but summoning the rocks didn't. Make up your mind. You. I'll poke you in the face. Instead of building another statue, I decided to train a bit more and test my newfound durability. There, I noticed that my recovery speed limited my overall power quite a lot. While statues had given me a huge boost of physical power, it hadn't done anything for my recovery speed. Building more mighty statues would just increase the gap between my stamina and recovery speed. The mighty statue, however, was only the first of my 7 world wonders. The next one, Mystic Garden, sounded just like the right way to improve my regeneration speed. A big garden full of plants and trees would surely help with it. Don't quite follow your logic, but you're the one who knows how this stuff works, not me. I don't know how to build a Hanging Gardens of Babylon that increases my stamina. Generally, I just make potions and drink them. This is a potion of wakefulness. You can buy them in stores. It's like the most common one, though. Then I started to create one. Instead of stones, I had to create a lot of water and plants for my garden. That took really long. While my clones were able to build anything, if I just gave them the right instructions, they were unable to create anything like me. Building something from existing materials was much easier than creating something entirely new. Every time they tried that, it just turned into charcoal. Oh! You have a source of unlimited charcoal! Oh my gosh! This is incredibly OP. You can do so much. An endless source of carbon. You could use it to create diamonds, or depending on how you do things, you do a lot of things with carbon, actually. But you're not a chemist or alchemist, as we've already established. So for you, you'd probably just be like, oh look, I can create an unlimited supply of fuel for my, furnaces. You have a dimensional thing. It's probably got, like, I don't know, a copy of the internet, or at least some stuff in it. You should be able to create some tech. Come on now. Sometimes it even caused explosions and ended up destroying some of my own creations. Holy crap, they can also make explosions. This is something that needs to be explored. Possibility. Then I gave up trying to teach them how to create something new and told them to focus on building, training, or fighting monsters only. No, keep exploring this. Maybe you'll learn new ways to create things yourself. In addition to whatever your clones figure out. I managed to finish it after 5 weeks, which was slower than my first mighty statue, but faster than my second one. But the effect of the garden was also much better than I expected. I could feel the much improved recovery speed far exceeded the increase in physical power from both my mighty statues. When I wanted to continue with my Tomb of the Gods, it proved to be much more difficult than I expected. I made it similar to the one I had built together with Deanna, then tried different versions of it. But after more than 3 months and building 3 different tombs, none of them had any effect at all. I felt like there was something missing. When I talked to Diana, she mentioned Izanagi, who had created her tomb in the first place. I also wanted to find and fight Izanagi, so I thought it would be time to move on. I had now spent almost a year on this planet building monuments, and also training a lot to increase my power. Now I felt confident enough to go after Izanagi, and went back into my space dimension device in search of the planet Exile. You're going to have to make people and then kill them, and pull their skeletons out. Others will have to be zombified. You're going to have to make people for the sole purpose of murdering them. I don't see anything wrong with that. It's fine to me. Anyway, when Diana told me about Izanagi, she pointed to a solar system. There had been only one planet where life was possible, so it was easy to find. It still took my space dimension device about a week to fly the distance. While traveling, I trained a bit more for the first 5 days and had rested the last 2 days to make sure I was in my best condition upon arriving in Exile. When the planet was in sight, I noticed how beautiful it was. It reminded me of old Earth from my own universe, before it had been destroyed. It was mostly blue with a lot of water, and I could see the continents in green color. Also, this should be an it, not an I. I reminded me. I reminded myself of old Earth. Ah, yes. My hair, it is like the seas, and all this green mold growing on my arm reminds me of the continents. And holy crap, I should see a doctor! Oh no! There are no doctors left! I have to learn how to make doctors now. After landing on the planet, I noticed something new. Humans! It was the first time I'd seen humans since I came to this universe, and there were many of them. That's confirmation. All 1.3 million, billion, zillion, I don't know how many humans are dead. Including the hacker what brought you here. The gods I saw and fought looked similar to them, but because of their godly power, I couldn't really compare them to humans. When I came closer and tried to talk to them, they totally ignored me. It seemed like they didn't talk at all, and they were busy. Some humans carried stones, others created buildings, the remaining ones hunted for food. I looked around a bit and observed them for a while. Their behavior was quite strange, and to me they seemed more like robots than humans. Comparable to my shadow clones? Yes, that sounded right. They were made of flesh and blood and looked like humans, but they didn't behave like the humans I knew. They only worked almost non-stop. Once in a while, a human collapsed and took a break, but the others glared at them, so most breaks were really short. While I was watching, 2 humans didn't get up after collapsing and probably died. 3 humans died because some stones fell on them. In the evening, they stopped working. I ate the food their hunters brought back, then they devoured the meat raw. It appeared like they didn't really know how to cook, or even care about it. After eating, they all went to sleep. Most of them didn't even have a roof over their heads and slept out in the open. After watching them for half a day, I wondered how they could survive. Since I appeared, 5 out of around 500 humans died. If they were to continue like that, the whole population would die out in less than a year. I also didn't see any female or child at all. There were only adult males. But then, I couldn't really use the laws of my own universe. They were probably all created by a god. Izanagi? Because they did not need to care about their survival, and only the creator of them would replace them after they died. Maybe he only made males because they were stronger or were better suited to physical work. The next day, I went on and scouted the location a bit more. Then I saw something like an arena. In the center, there were humans who fought each other. One of them used a stick with an arrow-shaped stone in front. The other one used 2 knife-shaped stones. Welcome to the Stone Age, or something like that. The fight didn't last long, and the human with the spear killed the one with the knives. Shortly after, someone came to the fight arena and removed the dead human, then took his knives and fought in his stead. This time he killed the one with the spear, and it continued like that. The arena also had a tribune, and there was only one person watching. He was probably the king of the humans, and they fought for his enjoyment. But it was not Izanagi. I didn't feel any special power from him, and he was probably weak. But he was someone important at least. Maybe Izanagi made him the leader to watch over the others, so they will work without rest. First, I thought it might have been a good idea to try to talk to him, but then I called it off. I came here only to watch and didn't want to disturb their order. I had a feeling that I wouldn't be able to understand him anyway. The humans here didn't seem very intelligent, and they only used body language to communicate. I also thought they'd be better to get to know the planet and the area, so I moved on and continued to scout the planet until I could find Izanagi. Izanagi doesn't seem like a very nice guy. It's not exactly perfect or even close to it, but this is going to fill out before I finish the next one, so I should probably just pump some of these up a bit. There we go. There, that'll work. running in 50 times gravity, but we don't have enough people walking at 10 times. Oh no, our training is out of balance. Okay. Around 100 kilometers further, I noticed some more human-like beings, but they were much bigger. Most were higher than 2 meters, and some even around 3 meters. They were really bulky, had lots of muscles, and green skin. Orcs! And Warcraft orcs at that, apparently. They walked around in a group of at least 20, and each one had a big club in his hand. It seemed like they were hunting for something. I decided to follow them for a bit, and soon after they came to a human village. But not because they lived there. They came to a human village, but not because they lived there. Only the normal kind of humans, like the ones I saw before, lived in this village. One of the humans noticed the orcs. Then all of them panicked and tried to flee. At the same time, the orcs smashed their club into the earth and caused earthquakes and tremors. Most of the houses collapsed, and almost all the humans fell down, or were paralyzed. Then the orcs surrounded the village and tried to catch the humans. It was quite easy for them, and they caught most of the humans within minutes. Maybe the humans were their food. This was kind of a daily routine for the orcs. Only the strong will survive. The weak ones die, like everywhere else in the universe. It wasn't much different from my old universe. The difference was that there, the humans had been by far the strongest of beings. Not physically, but their intelligence. It had been their biggest strength, and combined with greed, their downfall. Here, in this universe, the humans were only like some weak animals, not very intelligent and far weaker than the orcs they tried to flee from. So, how exactly did intelligence plus greed equal... You mentioned 17 Earths blew up before they came to another dimension. Why did they need to come to another dimension exactly? Because they kept blowing up their own planets? I mean, really now. You don't really need planets, Earth-like planets. You can build space stations and then, just have all the things necessary for life in them. You can build them with, I don't know, physicists are going to hate me for saying this, but it's layman's terms that aren't technically correct. But basically, centrifugal force spinning to produce gravity. Even if you just used materials we already have, we already have a model, a plan for one of these that we could build, that financially we could actually do if we wanted. It's expensive, but we could do it. Also, personally, I don't see why you really need 1G. For the first one, you could build at you could just build it at 80% of 1G, and it would actually it would actually cut the amount of stress down on the materials significantly, as well as the cost would be cut by quite a lot. More than 20%. A lot more than 20% cost reduction, so, Anyway. I don't know why humanity in your universe did these things. I don't understand. I don't. Even though it was the ecosystem on this planet, and probably perfectly normal, I summoned some shadow clones to fight off the orcs. There were some new enemies, a good way to train my clones and myself, and I had to get stronger after all, and defeating Izanagi would be harder than any god I had fought so far. First, 10 of my clones went up against 20 orcs, and 10 more clones provided some support from air. They shot down aura balls towards them. The orcs were somehow not surprised at all. One orc in the center smashed down his club and stunned all clones on the ground, while some other orcs played with the aura balls as if they were baseballs and smashed them back like one home run after another. Some of these counter balls even hit and destroyed my shadow clones. In the meantime, a clean-up orc smashed the stunned clones at the ground to death. Not even a minute after I'd sent out 20 clones, all of them died. That's very odd that the orcs seem to coordinate and know how to deal with this. I guess I underestimated the orcs quite a bit. The humans were so weak that the orcs didn't need to show their true strength. My clones were much stronger than the humans, so they used much more power to fight them off. They probably thought that my clones came to steal their prey. the humans and protected it. Considering how effective and organized as they fought off my clones, they probably had to fight back enemies pretty often. Still, it was not my first time my clones had lost to a new enemy. They actually had much more experience in losing than in winning fights. This time I summoned 100 clones to fight the orcs. Staying on the ground was dangerous, so all of them flew and stayed in the air. Because the last time the orcs easily countered the aura balls, this time they didn't use them. I made them work together, hiding behind each other, throwing kicks from the air, or throwing each other for an additional speed boost and less predictability. The orcs could still hold their ground pretty well and killed almost half of my clones before they managed to take down the first orc. Then I summoned another 50 clones. The fight became easier, and it didn't take much longer until all the orcs were killed. Sadly, I didn't manage to save the humans, and all of them died too. The fight was just too fierce and destroyed most of the surroundings. Then I went on for some more orcs to train my clones and myself a bit more before searching for Izanagi. I was able to kill 20 of them, but it took me more than 200 clones for that. I would have felt better if my clones were at least as strong as the orcs, and they would win in a 1 versus 1 fight. While thinking that, I summoned a few thousand clones and spread out the search area for more orcs. It didn't take long to find an orc village. The population of it was probably at least 500 or even 1,000, so a good number to train my clones some more. About 100 of the orcs were surrounding the village, watching for enemies. Others were inside the village, eating, sleeping, or doing something else. What else thing are they doing? Cooking? Rolling around and laughing? What is it? What is this something else? I started with sending out 200 clones. The orcs killed about half of them before they even reached the village. They just threw their clubs like boomerangs towards my clones. Not only their throws, but also their clubs were really amazing, because they were really durable and smashed through rocks without losing much speed. Steal the clubs. They're your clubs now. Beat them down with their own clubs. Because the orcs threw them at a speed faster than sound, my clones could only hear them after they reached them, when it was too late. They were also rotating really fast, so it made it almost impossible to see them, and this also increased their range. They also came back to the orcs every time without fail, even if they smashed through boulders on my clones along the way. Sounds like they're made of vibranium to me. Teleporting would have been faster than the clubs, but that took some preparation and the range wasn't good enough to be of much use. In the end, my 100 clones managed to kill 2 orcs before they were completely decimated. Attacking the village was a lot harder than attacking the group of 20 orcs. The defense was really tough. I could have sent a few 10,000 clones to win with numbers. Was this run through Google Translate? Okay, we'll go with it. It'll be part of the charm of this story. I could have send a few 10,000 clones to win with numbers, but that was not my goal. I continued to send waves of 100 clones at a time. I did this for a whole day, and none of my waves were able to defeat more than 4 orcs. It also appeared like the number of orcs in the village increased in the meantime, but that was a good thing. It implied that my training partners wouldn't be running out so fast. I stayed near the village about 2 more weeks, then my clones were able to kill more orcs than new ones appeared. And less than 500 were left in the village. You could not kill them. You could just spar with them and then leave them alive. While fighting the orcs, I had learned quite a bit about how to dodge high-speed projectiles. In the end, my clones were able to dodge flying clubs more than 9 times out of 10. They still couldn't see them, but predict their path quite well after watching the orcs throwing them. It still required them to pay a lot of attention to the orcs, and it was troublesome when a few of them threw clubs at once, but compared to the beginning, it was good enough. Now I decided to go on and search for Izanagi. A few hours later, I discovered a pyramid, an enormous pyramid. It was at least 300 meters tall and broader than a kilometer. On top of the pyramid, I saw someone sitting. His aura was different to that of everything else I saw on this planet up till now. It had to be a god. Probably Izanagi, at least I hoped so. The pyramid itself was surrounded with masses of humans. Some of them prayed to him. Others brought him food and other things. Most of them, however, worked on something. Some added decorations to the pyramid, some worked to the huge garden besides the pyramid, and others transported dead humans? I observed them for a while, careful not to be noticed by Izanagi. Then I saw him resurrecting the dead humans. Not only that, he had created new humans once in a while. Then I decided to meet him and flew nearer. Didn't take him long till he noticed me. And then he got up and flew towards me. He could also fly, like me. With an angry voice, he spoke to me. "What are you doing here? This is my planet. There's no need for any other god. Go back to where you came from." Then I replied, "Fine, but you have to fight me first. If you win, I'll go back to where I came from. If I win, I only go back if you teach me how to create humans." This made him even angrier, and he replied, "I'll teach you a lesson, as if I would lose to a puny god like you." And with that, he started attacking me. He started with a kick out of nowhere, which surprised me a bit, but I still managed to dodge it. However, I noticed some arrows and stones flying towards me. Not some, hundreds or even thousands of them. When I looked at where they came from, I saw armies of humans on the roofs of the buildings, and even on the pyramids. They used bows and arrows and even catapults to shoot at me. Compared to the clubs of orcs, the arrows and stones flew like in slow motion. But even if they flew in slow motion, there were thousands of them. It was hard to dodge them all. Welcome to Bullet Hells. You're now in a Toho game. Enjoy. Even though they couldn't pierce my aura... Oh wait, you're not in a Toho game. Never mind. Which meant there was no danger or need to dodge them. It was annoying the hell out of me. It also made it very hard to focus on the fight with Izanagi. I rather dodged them, and the best way would have been to fly higher than their reach. But Izanagi blocked the way above me. He was floating in the air with his arms crossed, grinning, and following me around, preventing me from going up. And it was like he was saying, "He's the one on top, and everyone else is below him and should probably admire him and do as he says." As there was no way up, I had no choice but to summon shadow clones. It might have been no use fighting him, but they could take out the humans for sure. They were weak after all. First I summoned them in the air to protect me and catch all the arrows before they reached me, or threw back the stones and destroy the catapults. Then they went to the ground and knocked out the humans with their bow, to prevent them from firing more arrows. Some of the humans died from that, but I didn't have much choice. Izanagi didn't like that. He resurrected them and created more on top of them, and so their numbers increased. But my shadow clones didn't die when fighting humans. He had to constantly resurrect and create humans, while I didn't need to worry about my shadow clones. This caused him to focus way too much on the humans, and I only had to focus on our fight. He still put up a good fight, but he severely underestimated me. For every punch he threw, I was able to throw 2. I dodged more than half of his attacks, and he was barely able to dodge any of mine. His stamina and defense was still very good, probably even better than the defense of Diana. Even half a day later, when he was breathing heavily, I was still unable to take him out, and he didn't want to give up. Finally, half an hour later, I finally managed to knock him out with a good combination of 108 hits. A long and arduous fight also drained my stamina up to my limit, and it wouldn't have been able to continue much longer. He probably would have won the fight if he had ignored the humans and just fought me with all his power. I wasn't happy with a victory like this. Didn't feel like I really won the fight. It might have been bad of me to go after the weak humans, but they started it. And their arrows had been really annoying. So there was not much choice but to use my clones to take them out. After Izanagi lost consciousness, all the humans ran away in fear, and I stopped my shadow clones because there was no need to fight them anymore. I just waited a while until Izanagi regained consciousness, and rested for the time being to recover my strength. It took 5 hours. Wow, you really beat the crap out of him. But then Izanagi finally got up. He was still dizzy in his head and couldn't believe he lost. But he didn't give his word. He decided to give you what you demanded of him. He made no promises. He promised to teach me how to create humans. He still wanted to rest until the next day. Then we started after he woke up. The most important thing while creating humans was water. He first showed me to create water in the shape of a human. Then he used the vines of plants, hardened them to make a skeleton, and inserted them into the water. Okay. He continued with surrounding it with animal skin, then imbued the whole creature with life. While doing that, the water became blood and organs formed slowly. Finally, he stuffed a fish in its mouth, because humans are always hungry after they're created. See that, Ed and Alfonso? If you'd done that, you wouldn't have lost an arm and a leg and a body. See that? That's how it's done. That's how it's done, son. While I watched him doing that, now it looked so easy, and he created a human in a few seconds. He even said that he made it slowly to explain it to me. But he was different to me and probably created thousands of humans every day for hundreds of years. It was not my goal to only create humans in my life, but to become stronger. So I learned his teachings until I was able to create a few humans to go on my journey soon after that. It still took me 5 months until I finally got it right. I don't want to know about the horrors you created in your failed attempts. I don't want to know what horrible bulbous monstrosities you have made. But you're probably totally okay with it, because you seem to be okay with everything. My first attempt was nothing more than, I just said I didn't want to know. He tried to attack me. No kidding. Frankenstein. I mean, this was how monsters were created. Were all monsters failed attempts to create something else? I tried to ask Izanagi where the orcs on this planet came from, and he didn't want to answer me. Maybe he was too proud to say that they were failed attempts at creating humans, or it was something else. I don't know. But I stopped to pry any further. When I asked him if he was the only god on this planet, he answered, "Naturally! I wouldn't allow any other god to stay here, and you are no exception. I taught you how to create humans, so go back to where you came from." And so he forced me out of the planet. I had promised to leave after he taught me, and I didn't want to make an enemy out of him, so I complied and started my journey to go back to my monument planet. Okay. Now, this is the moment of truth. Have I gone as far as I can go? Oh, shit. Okay. I cannot beat her. I see. She's only about, 15 times stronger than me. More than that, actually. Oh, boy. Well. This one is going to be tough. I have hit a wall. Well, I am just about to get the plant one. How close? Okay, let me see. No, I don't know how close I am to getting these two. We have all of these other things that we can make now. Do I want to wait till all these build up to get my stuff as big as possible here? Or maybe I should focus on the monuments and then go for the kill. Well, now there is one other thing I can try once I finish healing. I have not yet unleashed my might. I went through all the trouble to train these up. Let's see, okay, those aren't it. No, these. HP recovery. Defensive aura. Attack doubled. Increase the power of elemental manipulation to increase attack percent. Yep. Mystic mode. Unleash the power. 150%, 100%. Yeah. We're going to go full power on this. How's my health? How's my pet? Only 9 minutes away, is it? Okay, we can do this. My gosh, the plants are painfully slow. How are the monsters doing, huh? Apparently, next up we have mummies somehow and fighting turtles. Human-like turtle with a sword in each hand? Ninja turtles? Is there one with a staff and sais and nunchaku? It's almost strong. Oh dear. An upgraded version of the zombie. It has bandages now and will get up again after dying. This one's also almost strong. Well then. I think we're ready. I think this is about as good as I can do. All right. Boom! Might unleashed. It's not gonna work. Holy crap. I'm doing damage. I'm doing damage. It's running out. Oh, that's it. No. No. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Where is this thing? What are we fighting? Tell me. It's an hour before I can do that again. Well, if I have the mighty statue, but the other thing is going to require plants and water. The garden one. I don't know if that one's really as important though. Maybe I should just build a huge pile of rocks. I'm not sure. I might be allowed to keep this. I think I can beat this guy before rebirthing. Because that would make my rebirth way better. And of course, the more of these things I build up, the better the rebirth is too. Particularly the creation. This is the one I want to push up the most. I should get my shadow clones killed a whole bunch too, shouldn't I? It's not really going to improve me a whole bunch. I'll just wipe them out before rebirthing as a last move. That'll be fine. I want to just trade. Where is trading? It's supposed to appear somewhere, but I don't think I have access to it yet. I know that you can spend divinity somehow. Some way. It's a thing that I can do. I can spend divinity. after defeating Nephthys. Oh, you gotta be kidding. Oh, you gotta be kidding. I beat you. And then I can spend my currency. And then we can try doing the mighty statue thing. But I need the mighty statue to beat you, don't I? Well... Keep powering up over here. Oh yeah, I had these turned off and didn't realize it for a while. I don't know how that happened. It's annoying. Anyway. So yeah, I think that's what I'm going to end up doing. Did I leave this one off again? Okay. Alright then, I guess that'll be it for now. The last thing we want to know is how much this gets. And actually, wasn't there something else I wanted to... Let's see, not quite you yet. 3 more somehow. I think the mouse could find some if I sent it off. You have a chance to find 1 or more. A chance to find. That means I could send the mouse off and get nothing back. Okay, fine. Fine. Divinity generator is later. I could just, I don't know, make animals and smash them, because if rabbits can generate divinity and other animals I've killed, why not just do that? Also, can I create my own armies of things yet? Other than shadow clones, you could make other stuff. This is actually almost going to be the same time the mouse completes. Now, let me see. 2 soil and 2 water. Right? Right. So, to make 2,000 plants, let's see, 2 soil and 2 water, both of which are full up. But each of those require... So let's see, the water requires 3 air. Alright, where do we get the air? 2 light. Alright, very good. The soil. Hold on. 2 soil. No. I'll still need another 2,000 soil even after this maxes out. And the stone... The stone will require even more. Okay. But what I can do with that... Oh, I thought somebody just finished something. Oh, is this one? Psh. Who cares about that? Alright. Last one. Give me. 2 tree, 5 soil. If I worked on trees for a while, I'd get the rest. But I think I should probably just make a pile of stone for that monument. And done. Excellent. Okay. Work on rocks. You're like a prisoner stuck breaking rocks, except you're making them. Yeah, I need 8,000 of that. And over here we need 2,000 of that. However, for the monument, we only need 2,000. This might be a big deal. I'm not sure. We'll have to see. We'll have to see if it's as big a deal as the game made it out to be. Or the story made it out to be. Okay. And finally, so I mentioned it gained a ridiculous 20 levels, which off of a 1 hour run, which would have taken me like a lot of time with Shadow Clones. Now it's done a 3 hour run. That is so much better than training it with Shadow Clones. Oh, it's busy recovering. My gosh, its stats are absurd. So, if I made... What? No! That would be an absurdly powerful one. Okay. Let's say I made some clones like this. No, doggone you, game. What the hell is going on right here? Oh, I don't have any clones to spare. Of course. Sorry, just borrowing this. Okay, that's why it's acting all weird. Wow, this is too strong. It's hurting it. Even though the stats are below it's hurting it quite a lot. Look at how long it takes to kill one. You can't even see that experience on its chart. And yeah, I have to make them weaker so it's not being killed. No, not 3. 0. I can't say 0, huh? Watch this. Ah, crap, it's already dead. It'll be fine. I was trying to fix it. Anyway, you can see how slow it gains. Like, to gain 20 levels in an hour would be... I don't know. I would have to balance it and see how much I could do. But, yeah, it takes a lot to level the mouse with Shadow Clones. The campaign is clearly a way, way better way of doing it. Way better way of doing it. Unfortunately, it's going to go back to being level 1. Anyway, I think I'll probably give it, once it gets back on its feet, an 8-hour quest to see if it can find even 1 god point. That's all I want from you. If you can gather me just 1 or 2 of those before, it'd be really nice. Let's see, so you're almost up to 600 already. Man, stones are fast by comparison. 2,000. I can stay up that late. Okay, there you go. Yeah. So, I send you on a campaign. Shoop. Oh, 12? Oh, that's a bit much. That'll do. Good luck! Oh, good, you're still healing. The campaign isn't eating you. Good, good, good. I want these. Come on, I should know how to make a cat dog by now. I know how to make animals. Dragon. All sorts of stuff. Anyway, and no. Bring these back. Get back to proper training. Carrying mountains. Please move the moon a bit to the right while you're at it. Moving them is too easy for you now. So you carry on their back. I'll carry them on your back while doing your normal training. Alright, anyway. Fly around the universe. Smash meteorites. Wait, they're my friends! Train in Dimension X. Isn't that kind of what we're already doing? Anyway. Time manipulation. If something's wrong, just go back in time and try again. Create a dimension where you can call all your creations with just thinking about them. Funny name, but really powerful. This will call all the heroes in your mind and let them attack everyone who stands in your way. Actually, the way I read it someplace else, and it said it was summoning all the ones you defeated. Summons every god you defeated so far. Creates your highest created creation and throws it at the enemy. Reverts time for the last 3 enemy attacks as if they didn't even happen. So I've only used the 108 Fist of Destiny. Oh wait, no, I've actually used Teleport as well. We've also used the Reflection Barrier, but we haven't used Gear Eyes or these. Huh. Well, anyway. That's that then. So until next time and every time, this is Hadriax signing off. Bye.